Hello, everybody. I want to do this live. I've had a lot of messages, comments, and I know I have so many messages to catch up with, and I'm catching posts going back, but I'm going to go out tonight because I want to enjoy my holiday. But I want to do this for people asking about court judge appointments and the entire process. And for me, what I learned, and a lot of nations learned, a lot of nations, I've listed many: Brazil, Israel, absolutely Canada, many other colonials. I could make a long, long list. But there were countries that are in somewhat dire straits today or in complete ignorance, like Canada. We're in complete ignorance. Not only all of you, but me too. It's a Me Too thing. And that comes absolutely from colonialism and the fallout since World War II in Spain, who was an Axis power who had many, many colonial holdings all over the world. Subjects and savages defined throughout their papal bull doctrine, just as the British Empire under doctrine of discovery. We can go through all the colonials, but I want to focus on something that has happened in South American countries, Caribbean countries, that isn't the same for a large portion of the world when it comes to our superior court justices, our Supreme Court justices, constitutional court justices as defined in the Latin world, in the Spanish world or former colonials of Spain. And it's transforming. It's transforming in the last 20 years for many countries, some a little more recent, and it is fresh paint. But it's an idea that they've embraced, a transformation of countries that fallen from colonialism and post-World War II, gaining independence, gaining their country status. They went through military coups. They had extreme autocratic governments in place, and they've been relieved of that. They've transformed, yes, through military coup and everything, rebellion, all of it. And we've heard lots in the news over many decades. I can look when I was 20 years old at two countries just 25 years ago that I would have put my hands up and said, oh, I'd never go there. And that's Ecuador, that's others, and what they've done. And since then, that's changed. They've changed their countries, specifically as judge appointments and the entire process constitutionally, how it's done, that's not done in Canada. And what I mean by that and other countries is that our judges are of the divine crown. We don't, like even the United States, they do have the executive appoint their judges, they do. But you'll see Senate commissions publicly for the whole nation. Canadians can learn so much about every Chief Justice in the United States. And up until this weekend, that was the system I thought was the greatest. It was the greatest. Hey, at least the people get to see the process happen. Imagine if there was a referendum process on judges. And, outside of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, judges are elected. All other judges at every level are elected judges. It's only at that federal highest level they're not, just so people know that. But in Canada, it's not a voting system, and there is no scrutiny, not visible to you, the people, or us, the public. They're hand-picked by Prime Minister for absolutely all Supreme Court justices, and we can go on to superior courts, and they're done primarily through Prime Minister too. And there is no screening. There's none at all. There's no process for Canadians to know who or what is becoming a judge. We don't question it. We allow the Governor General, who does that on the advice of the Prime Minister, who gets to pick all the judges. They're all appointed. There's no public screening process, no election-style system, and definitely no referendum-style system for any Canadians going through that process. You just assume judges are great people that have very limited rules in how they're appointed. We've seen a couple times in history Harper with Quebec on a Superior Court justice and a pick that he made there, again, through Governor General to the Lieutenant Governors, a very autocratic, fusion-based judiciary. There is no separation of powers in Canada. We list the powers, but we don't separate them. And I think that's what Canadians need to understand, is that the Crown, that two-face, where you see one side like a Dr. Jekyll and another side is the Hyde, that being the Crown, and then there's the House of Commons, Parliament, legislatures, you all think is this great system of democracy, and it looks like a democracy, but is it really? And on that Crown side, that other face, when they don't want to use the democracy or the embrace of the Crown, you find that there is no real separation of powers. You find there isn't an executive, a legislative for the provinces and territories, and then the judiciaries. They're not three different separations of powers. They're actually fused through the Crown side. And why I say that is, how can you separate the powers if the judiciary is entirely sworn, bound to the top executive through the other side face Crown, meaning Governor General does all the federal, Lieutenant Governors of the province do all the provincial. At the highest courts, these are the highest courts, the only courts you can go to have been determined by the chief executive. How is that a separation of powers? Folks, it isn't. It's not even a democracy. It's an autocratic entire system. To get into a little more explanation, like the news media did not report anything to Canadians about one of our Supreme Justices who had an assault charge from the United States of America a year and a half ago. We're only hearing about those charges now today because American media published. The American media did. Then you hear the story of the justice. Otherwise, Canadians wouldn't know a thing because it's on the Crown side. It's privy of the Crown. And yes, that's Governor General for the federal appointments. And yes, that's Lieutenant Governor for the provincial appointments. More than this, I just did this summit, a global summit of the best minds in the world. 220 experts, the best of the best from many nations. I just did that summit. Folks, Governor General has the constitutional power to rule absolutely on constitutionality beyond the Supreme Court. They can be the fire extinguisher all over the Supreme Court. Lieutenant Governors, as published by Salma Lakhani, you can go to CTV and read it, and I shocked the United States Supreme Court this weekend. I met one of their administrators, one of their representatives of those justices. I met her. We exchanged emails, we exchanged many, many things, and I gave her absolutely Salma Lakhani's publication, where she, in Alberta, the Lieutenant Governor, is the constitutional fire extinguisher. She doesn't have a law degree. She has no idea of constitutionalism, except for she is the Crown, the ultimate Crown power of the province of Alberta. You can look at all of them. They're all that way. They overrule, override, and can make demands of Superior Court for Lieutenant Governors, absolutely Governor General over the Supreme Court of Canada. And this is the big issue here, folks. People who don't even read their Constitution or only see that they're somehow divine. When I contacted Salma Lakhani, before the media did, before anybody did, I was told that office, and I got the email, I've saved it, that office will not, and I repeat, not be brought down to my level. Folks, this weekend, Ecuador, El Salvador, I met the Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court of El Salvador. We spoke, we engaged, we exchanged. I even gave her the pamphlet, and we're going to continue on. I got to present the Treaty Indians. Right now, we look at the Treaty Indians in Saskatchewan, even the Treaty Numbered Indians going through the Saskatchewan First Act, who's largely now, folks, largely taken away the people of Saskatchewan and absolutely all treaty, Métis, and Inuit overlaps of Saskatchewan and remove them entirely from that process. It is a government elite attached to Lieutenant Governor who are going to make all the determinations under the Saskatchewan First Act. You've actually weakened your democracy. You've weakened all your institutions. That's what Scott Moe has done. Now, Danielle Smith put a pause on hers. Treaty Indians are up in arms. The numbered treaties of Saskatchewan are up in arms right now over what Scott Moe did. And it's wrong. It's wrong. And I don't think Canadians understand that there are countries now that are 150 years ahead in separation of powers, in creating real independent judiciaries, real ones, arguably on their way to be better than the Supreme Court of the United States, arguably. I still like how the Supreme Court allows us to see everything in real time. The entire world, they don't hide their commissions, their Senate commissions, and people can say, well, they're not experts either, they don't really know, but at least it allows the people to see what's coming forward. In Canada, that doesn't happen. And the people picking the judges for these parties and these powerful executives, we're talking Prime Minister, all throughout Canada, they're not legal experts at all, and it's all done in-house behind closed doors. All their evils are never, and I repeat, never, ever allowed a public real commission on screening, let alone a referendum, let alone voting in judges and having nomination processes codified. These are concepts I haven't even looked at yet because it's all relatively new. The best example we have is the United States, but it's not the only example. There are many others, and I wasn't alone. Americans were even like, wow, this is an exceptional presentation by many countries to see a massive difference that Canadians have never heard of, never seen. Like myself, how would we know? We're born into this subjugation. First Peoples are born into the savagery defined by the Indian Act, just as all of us are subjects under the Constitutional Acts of Canada. It's all wrong. It's been wrong for a very long time. There are promises and treaties again and again throughout the world that Canada signed on to. We will get it done. But folks, education and the promises of education made by the federal government in global treaties aren't worth the paper they're written on. Because why? The federal government isn't in charge of education. The provinces are under the division of powers, and conveniently, to hold the autocratic crown power, to have literally no rules of governance, no way to check and balance any forms of their governing rules as they go through their 4-year periods, or an accountability to the actions they take against all of us, against all of our best interests, First Peoples and Canadians alike. This is why they don't ever want to bring that forward. Education will never be changed in Canada, not from early childhood development all the way through junior and high into higher education. We don't even see it in higher education. Very, very limited. You may find doctorates discovering this in Canada, but even then, it's too late for them to make a change because they realize to get my degree, to get this far, I had to swear this oath to the crown. And if I don't follow their oath or what they like or what they say, they can remove my designation. A lawyer can be disbarred in Canada. They can be disbarred for breaching their crown sworn oath. How do you ever get a lawyer? Just like when I went there feeling so alone in Canada, there was hardly any Canadian experts at all, and one was gone within one day. I was literally the last one remaining Canadian. And all the delegates were like, there's so many delegates, how come, there's only one Canadian? I'm like, I'm not even a lawyer, folks. I'm an economist. I had the blessing and the privilege of being here because I'm lucky Richard Alpert invited me. I'm lucky the United States government sponsored me. I'm lucky the state of Texas sponsored me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have gotten all this extensive knowledge, this crash course and training that's broadened my perspective so very, very largely. It's explosive, it's massive. I have a whole notebook list of notes, screenshots on my phone, just a wealth, a book's worth of knowledge crashed right into you in a 3-day period, and it was beautiful. But we need to take that now. We need to work with that. We need to work with other countries and other experts. It will only make us stronger, and it had to be done. But I hope people understand that our justice system is not in any way, shape, or form independent of the executive. All levels, we can look at it from the federal to the provincial to the judiciary. None of these things are indivisible. Under that half face, that crown side, that's largely been removed from Spanish colonials, largely, yes, through violence and full-on regime change, and sometimes it was dark times with military coups that went autocratic themselves, but they're finding their way out very, very far ahead of us. Even the selection of judges, which is so very important, to remove that attachment from the executive. A lot of people don't look at that. And that's important when we go forward, because really it's about rebuilding our justice system, one that works for everybody, not just a divine elite. A lot of folks tell me all about all these things, the WEF, the UN, this globalization, that's real, it's there, and these things are right. These billionaires with their agendas, their large NGOs, their ability to take down countries. You're right, you're all right about all of it. It's not going to go away no matter what we do going forward, but we can limit the actions of our politicians and their ability to fill their pockets in these corruptions and these forces around the world by putting in rules of governance, how to govern, and accountability, completely rebuilding the justice system all the way from the military, the highest courts, and all the way down through the policing. It has to be done. And I know a lot of people are waking up because people have sent me from RCMP detachments specific flags of the crown that they still fly. That represents the oath of their allegiance to that crown, that two-face. That's not UK. It's absolutely all federal politicians and all provincial politicians. And they have crown appointments, many crown appointments, that is not in media. It's never highlighted in any political capacity whatsoever. When they campaign, have you ever heard my shadow crown government, my governor general will be this, my Supreme Court justices will be this, the Superior Court justices will be this, the Attorney General will be this, and on and on. We can go through literally hundreds of crown appointments. Folks, this party we're building and going forward, it is not an overnight process. It requires thousands of Canadians. Yes, there's the 338. Yes, there will be the EDAs. Yes, in the neighborhood of 1,500 just in what's presented to Canadians. But our party, unlike all the parties in Canada, absolutely all of them, we are going to highlight all of the crown. It's central in our platform. For the first time in Canadian history, you're going to see those crown appointments. You're going to know what they are, what they do, and why they're important to have and share and be open to Canadians for the first time in Canadian history. It is dangerous. It is dangerous, but it has to be done, or we will never, ever see the light of day, not for any Canadians and not for any First Peoples. And if you think this globalist agenda is going to go away with electing another crown colonial party with abhorrent crown powers, autocratic, full-on dictatorial powers, hiding behind their illusion of democracy, they hide that in the shadows. Never highlighted by media, very lightly skimmed over by media, not by accident. We're not alone in this world. There's other countries forced into these systems too, and they're still vibrant and alive today. But somebody has to pull forward and bring that to light. Somebody has to bring that design. Somebody has to show Canadians, whether they like it or not, these elites. And we have to get away from blaming all these outside actors. Folks, the laws imposed on you, the justice system that seems so skewed imposed on you, comes from only one source, and those are your elected and appointed officials from top to bottom in all levels of Canadian government, and it will never change. The evil that comes all through the world that comes in to transform Canada will never go away as long as the legislators and the parliamentarians continue the way they're going, filling their pockets, getting in bed with these outside actors at absolutely all of your expenses. That's Canadians and First Peoples alike. If there was ever a time to get involved in anything in the history of Canada, it's going to be this party and what we're doing. And to ignore it is at absolutely jeopardy of your children's future, your future. Healthcare is not going to get any better. The cost of living is not going to get any better. These issues have existed in Canada forever and a day. They've never been written right. They're never going to be written right. And for First Peoples, read Ecuador's constitution. Ecuador. Read it. Look at the Supreme Court, which is the constitutional court of Ecuador. Daniela Salvador, she's the Chief Justice. Look at all the works they've done. Look at her participation in the new Constitution of Ecuador. What we know of many decades ago is not those countries anymore. And why? Because Spain was an Axis power. They were crushed. Why not for us? Because UK and France and their designs that continue forward as UNSCP5, our big win that we're going to share with other colonials who some are fortunate, the actors of colonialism that control them so tightly, some have veto power, some have extreme power as they were in allies, others do not. Those that do not are subject to the UNSCP5. Others may never be free. Taiwan, I don't see ever becoming free, not without a World War II or World War III, sorry. And I just know that that is the way it is. I don't see a salvation for Ukraine without a World War III. And in the midst of a World War III, who will be the winners then? Do you want to restore the colonials? Do you want to get back to a time and a world where there were no human rights? Human rights are a relatively new concept. Sure, there were some movements with the League of Nations, but it was all on class structure. When they talked about human rights, those were human rights for the elite first class. Second got even less. The more butt kissing they do to the first class, the more rights they may see. Whereas the third class, there are no defined rights for you. You are subject to their rights. And I think people will learn and will see as we go. And I hope as we build this party that it's going to be epic. It's going to be huge. It is a hard road indeed. Many more players that was involved than what was involved in what I did to build the Alberta Independence Party. Many times more. I hope I've educated people, and this is just a skimming touch of what I went through. It's just one area where even I, in my institutionalization of Canada, had no idea. The world is vast. There's so much to read and learn. I'm trying to streamline it. I'm trying to bring it down in a compact version for all Canadians and all First Peoples. And we will get there. We will get there. And we have all kinds of new friends on board from all over the world. And we have epic things to do in improving these realities of the world as it really is. And I think major transfers of knowledge happened over this weekend, and I enjoyed it tremendously. I wouldn't take it away for the world. And that's my video, everybody. I hope it helps for all those questioning. I know there's quite a few of you out there asking. So take it for what it is, and we'll talk soon. Tonight, I'm going to enjoy some more of Texas. I'm going to do the Latin, Mexican side. I want to see that because while we do have little restaurants, they're not really authentic. You know what I mean? I want to see it for real. I want to enjoy those customs and cultures close up and personable. So that's what I'm going to do. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and enjoy your night. Bye now.